if you get started for us. Thank you.
Well, I'll be glad to do that, and thank you for being in attendance, everyone. We're going to have some fun, and hopefully we will be distributing some very good information for you to consider. So we'd like to say welcome, Hornet Nation. The next slide is going to show what we really want to get across to you today, and that is when the time is right to travel once again, the world will be waiting for us. So what does Corky have to say about all this? Corky says, dream now, travel later. Certainly no one could tell you to travel now. They shouldn't. Don't believe them if they do. But when Tyler and approached us and visited about the idea of discussing some things, we decided to put together this webinar, and it's co-produced and presented by Emporia State University Alumni Association. And please go away vacations here in Great Bend, Kansas. We're in our past half-century mark, and we have three people that are going to be visiting with you today. First of all, we have Tyler Curtis, Assistant Vice President, Outreach and Engagement, Emporia State University. Tyler, I think you're on board, so would you like to say a few words?
Sure, I'll just say a few things. And by all means, Paula and Larry will be the vast majority of this presentation and the experts here in the room, by all means. So, but just really thankful for this partnership. We've been in a lot of communication here the last, several weeks. We've had some trips that we've had to kind of reschedule and those kind of things. And we've just been talking about, what's the state of the travel industry today, and what should we be telling people about those plans, and how can we get really quality information to them that they can have now to plan for later. Every successful plan or every successful venture starts with a really good plan. So we hope that the information that we've provided to you the last several weeks in terms of some email newsletters that we're giving some tips on what to look for during this time. And this presentation today will just equip you with some knowledge so that as we do move out of this, at some point we know that, what you as a travel consumer can count on. And, in partnership with our travel partners at Please Go Away Vacations, Cheyenne Travel Agency, to really look at how can we deliver maximum value to our constituents, knowing that at some point we're going to be able to travel and see the world again, and it's going to be a much better situation. And for a consumer perspective, probably to expect some really good deals on the immediate outset of this deal. So really thankful for our partnership. Thankful that they're willing to share information that's been passed around experts in the travel field, and I feel like we're delivering to our audience some really quality information so that you can be educated and informed constituents and consumers. So thanks, Paula, thanks, Larry, and thanks for taking the time to learn a little bit more today about travel in the near term and the future.
Thank you, Tyler. Appreciate your comments. And you do see on the screen a lady, that's Paula Oxman. She's president of our organization, just started her 32nd year with us. And we'll hear from her in a bit. And the other person that you see up there with the bald head, that's me. And so having said that, Paula, let's take a look and see what the elephant in the room is. And obviously the elephant in the room, ladies and gentlemen, is COVID-19. And it has literally upset all the furniture in the room and has presented challenges for the travel industry and for persons wanting to travel and plan travels that are unprecedented. As I say, we've been engaged in this since 1972, and we've never seen anything like this. So we're going to examine that elephant today, and we're going to examine what the results of COVID-19 are going to be when it is a memory. And the fact that we want to remember is simply this, that travels are memories made and shared that are never forgotten. And realize too, ladies and gentlemen, that we're not telling you today in any shape or form that you should be traveling now. We're just saying the opposite. You are in a position to consider, to plan, to dream, and quite honestly, as you will learn a bit later, take advantage of some unprecedented opportunities that are going to be available. And realize, if you will, please, that when you are ready to travel again, we will be right here and ready to fully serve you. So what are the facts of today's situation? Well, first of all, these are statistics that we're privy to in our daily conferences with industry leaders throughout the nation. 72% of American travelers have already begun making plans for future travel. Now, again, not now, but future travel. And this is according to a 2,000 subject survey that was conducted between April 20 and 22 this year by an organization known as Overseas Leisure Group. Another interesting fact is that 35% of travelers already planning their next trip are considering vacationing as early as this summer. 82% of respondents to a recent survey considered the travel market to only be on pause rather than permanently transformed. And 78% of travelers are prepared to use air travel. And this is an interesting and very important statistic, I think. 45% of those interviewed say they are willing to travel outside of the U.S. for their next trip. So now, the advantages of planning now, or dreaming now, if you please, are many. And we want to quickly just highlight several of those, which we will get into a bit more detail later on. But there are going to be unprecedented travel opportunities for late this year and throughout the year 2021. Many astute travelers are taking advantage by rescheduling their planned travels impacted by COVID-19 to depart in a time frame in the future when it is safe to do so. Let me give you an example of this. Our tour to Michigan this year that was scheduled to depart in June was completely sold out. And obviously it was canceled because it was in June. We had the opportunity to reschedule it for later this year. And we said, no, we don't feel comfortable doing that. But we opted to reschedule for June of next year, 2021. And I'm delighted to report to you that 32%, but 32 individuals transferred their reservation from this year to next year. So we already have a guaranteed departure. That's what is happening. People are being energized by the opportunities and their willingness to consider travel in the future. Others are reserving brand new travels. Now, Paul will get into this in a bit more detail with some actual examples, but they're not waiting for things to develop. They're reserving now because of many reasons that Paula will get into. And we'll see also that the increased demand has begun limiting availability on certain things. And quite honestly, some areas in 2021 are already showing sold out on certain departure dates. Again, we'll get into that a little bit later. So, Emporia State University, as we talk to the Hornet Nation, has 3 pillars of travel that they use to fully provide travel opportunities for their constituency. Those 3 pillars of travel are As You Like It travel, feature travel, and private label travel. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to take away private label travel today. That's where an individual, maybe like the president of the university, has a tour that she is going to personally host. We call that private label because only constituents of the university are made aware of that opportunity and have the opportunity to join President Allison on that trip. What we're going to direct our attention to today are the remaining 2 pillars, As You Like It travel and feature travel. Now, by definition, as you like it travel is everything out there that you see advertised in any shape, form, or way of a quality, financially stable cruise line or travel operator that is available worldwide. It's ideal for the traveler that maybe doesn't like group travel, wants to have a bit more independence, but literally anything that you see advertised out there, so long as it is a quality program, is available for you through the university's programs at the same or quite often better price, and in addition and on top of, you also receive a university savings that no one else is privy to. Now, as we look at As You Like It Travel, where you just can travel as you like, I want to quote what President Lincoln had to say. A man who represents himself has a fool for a client. Now, we're not calling anybody a fool. We would never call anybody a fool, but we would take his point and apply it to today's situation. The horror stories out there, ladies and gentlemen, of people who tried to book with the internet phantoms, the people that you see, the Costco's, the people like this, literally have run into untold problems. We have examples of people being on the line 9 hours with one of these phantom internet operators, only to be told that their call was being declined at the end of 9 hours. So it's not really in one's best interest, we don't think, and we're finding this, and this is increasing the demand already. We see people switching their attitudes to using a full-time organization to provide their travel desires. And this is being indicated by organizations such as Business Insider. Now, Business Insider is a fast-growing business site with deep financial, media, and tech roots. It was launched in 2007, and the site is now the largest business news site on the web. So when we say these internet phantoms, we're talking about those that offer the best deal that you just can't believe. And we're not talking about the internet itself. The internet itself has been absolutely the best thing that's ever happened to those professionally engaged in the travel industry. But here's what Business Insider has to say. Hiring a full-time travel professional to help plan your travels has a slew of benefits like special rates, expert recommendations, and the luxury of not spending innumerable hours sifting through booking sites yourself. You don't have to spend an entire month's worth of earnings to do a 2-week trip. That, ladies and gentlemen, is what you get to have available to you through the university's As You Like It travel program. Now, As You Like It travel program is, as I've already indicated, far-ranging, and we're going to take a look at a couple of quick examples of this. Paula will proceed very quickly if we can here, so as to not take too much time of these individuals.
Okay, thank you, Larry.
Every quality travel. Okay, and so Paula, if you want to proceed with that, you please take it away.
Okay, thank you. As Larry mentioned, this is where we can do where you want to go, when you want to go, include what you want. We work with every quality tour program or cruise experience that you see advertised to get you exactly what you want to do. I do want to mention that if you find something that you want to do and you call us, have us check it out, we also check not only what you're looking to do, but their finances. If they're not a company that is in good standing, is not reputable, we will tell you that. And in the past, we have turned down business. In fact, I have a very good friend who wanted to go to Ireland and do something on their own, was not something that we recommended. What they were doing was great, not the company they chose on the internet. About 2 years later, she called me and said, "Remember when we went?" And I said, "Yes." She said, "That company is now out of business." So she kind of almost learned a hard lesson. We do not discount our prices. We negotiate on your behalf at no extra cost in order to get you the very best prices. All available promotions, savings, and perks available at the time of your reservation are fully captured for you by our full-time professional travel team. Often there are companies that we work with that if something better comes along at a later date, if at all possible, we do work with them to be able to get that for you as well. We work with all major companies, and just a few of these well-known ones are the Globus family of brands, which includes not only Globus, but Cosmos, Monograms, and Avalon. We work with Colette Vacations, Scenic Cruises, Mayflower Cruises and Tours, Tauck, Princess Cruises, Norwegian Cruise Line, Emerald Waterways, Carnival Cruise Line, Royal Caribbean, Viking Cruises, Go-Way Tours, Trafalgar, Caravan, Gate One, Insight Vacations, Walt Disney World, CIE Tours are just a few of the many companies that we work with. So there are lots of cruise lines and other tour operators out there. And again, as long as they're reputable, we're happy to work with them on your behalf. Actual As You Like It travel experiences that are enjoyed by some of your friends and neighbors are such things as anniversary celebrations, going to Hawaii. We worked with Travel Impressions, which is a tour operator that does like air and land packages, included some sightseeing, flights in between islands. A lot of class reunions nowadays are doing cruises or other tours that they can experience together. We have groups of friends, we have church groups. Just about every one of the tour companies that we mentioned previously, we have had the pleasure of working with in order to provide either 2 people, 6 people, 8 people. It varies kind of depending on who's going. Larry, would you like to talk a little bit about some of the feature travel?
Well, I will. And by contrast, feature travel is a personally escorted value-added tour that gets its name feature because there are always special bonuses, included features, if you will, that are not found in any other competing program. Now, we create these feature travel experiences in one of 2 ways. We will create from the ground up a tour ourselves where we have the knowledge and the ability to do this and the personal contacts to do this. But there are other instances where we take one of the major companies such as Colette or Globus or Princess Cruises or any of those that Paula cited, and we use one of their programs, what we call a RAC program available to everybody, and we use that as a foundation upon which to build additional building blocks of additional special bonus features, additional sightseeing, dining experiences, behind-the-scenes experiences that are not available anywhere. And in these feature travel experiences, with these features that make a travel experience that's one of a kind and not available anywhere else, there are a number of included concepts: all-inclusive pricing, round-trip airfare, travel protection. We continue on with 94% repeat factor, some people having gone away on this type of travel experience with us more than 70 times. Now, that indicates they like what they get in the way of value and experiences, but there's more. There's also feature dining bonuses always included. There are feature sightseeing bonuses that other people don't get to enjoy. There is always a personal host or hostess from our company on those tours, taking care of the details, particularly the first and last days of travel, that work in concert with the foreign tour host to make a memorable experience that is not available anywhere else. And we like to say that we have a business credo of small-town caring worldwide since 1966 that provides unmatched personal service before, during, and after travels. There are a couple of other things that are included that are part of our feature tours that other programs don't have. We have a friendship bonus plan, where if you have a person that you recommend or persons that you recommend, we will say thank you in a monetary fashion with a friendship bonus, which is simply your choice of 1% cash bonus of what they spend on their travels or a 2% future travel credit. Now, interestingly, 84% of those receiving friendship bonuses choose the 2% future travel credit. That's just our way of saying thank you in a monetary fashion. We do not advertise in the traditional media formats, but we are always willing to spend thousands upon thousands of dollars thanking those who assist us to bring travel programs of unequaled opportunity to the masses. And there's also another program that we have that other programs don't have. They may have something similarly sounding, but our special single service is different. We never arbitrarily assign roommates. If we are aware that we have a single male or single female, we have a database of single males and single females who are interested in the possibility of sharing accommodations and saving the additional single supplement cost that is normally attributable to a single occupancy tour program. We also have a number of singles that go with us that want to be solely single in their room, and that's fine. But when we have individuals that we feel may be compatible, we make introductions with this special single service. They decide between themselves whether they are compatible. It comes with absolutely no obligation to care for their companion that they're traveling with other than to be courteous and to not smoke in their presence. And it is one of our more popular programs, really, for those individuals who are finding themselves, for whatever reason, in a category that would be referred to as single. We don't charge for this service. We're glad to provide it, and that's all part of our feature travel program. So quickly, as we dream now and travel later, we're going to take a look at a number of feature opportunities that are available for you to be thinking about in the future. These are not going to be, we don't have prices, we're not selling that today, we're just making you aware. And so, Paula, we're going to quickly run through those. Africa Safari in Search of the Big Five. It still is scheduled to go this year in September, and it's going to include the two East African countries of Kenya and Tanzania. And you will notice that in red, I have encircled Serengeti National Park. Now, why is that important? We are planning to be there whenever we go, and if we have to reschedule, we will. But we plan to be there during the time of the Great Migration. And one of the greatest places on earth to see the Great Migration. This is where thousands upon thousands upon thousands of wild animals migrate north, and then when they get to their southern or their northernmost point, they turn around and they migrate south. It's sort of a continual thing. Births are done en route. You've probably all seen the wildebeest trying to swim across the river and the crocodiles trying to bite them, which you see in the upper left-hand corner here. And so that's one of the things that's there. An example of an included feature bonus is the upper right-hand corner. We always include on our African safaris as a special feature bonus a sunrise hot air balloon ride over the Serengeti. It's an amazing experience and one that is always the highlight of the tour. Another included bonus feature that we have as an example on feature tours is that lower left-hand corner, and you go out on safari, you're going to see untold amounts of animals in whatever type of vehicle you're in. The difference is, and the feature comes into play, we always make sure that every person has access to the pop-up top and to a window for unlimited viewing and picture taking. Now, there are companies that will fill their vehicles full where the person in the center never has that opportunity. And of course, wild animals are going to be everywhere. The lions in the lower right-hand corner happen to be in the Ngorongoro crater, which is one of the included bonus features on this particular tour. But let's move on. Closer to home, and this year is Red Rocks Railways, Canyons, and More. It's in October. It's the Red Rocks surrounding Sedona, and it's unbelievable insofar as what one sees and does. You really see the Red Rocks, you see canyons, and you enjoy two different railroad rides. One is through the Verde Canyon, Verde meaning green, and the other is the Grand Canyon Railroad that takes you right up to the south rim of the Grand Canyon. And the Grand Canyon is one of the canyons that you see. It's in the upper right-hand corner. And of course, the Red Rock Formation in the upper left-hand corner is just one of many that one sees on this trip. Christmas in Colonial Williamsburg, another feature tour, which has the highlight of going into Washington, D.C., and spending the first night in the capital city and doing an illuminations tour as an included feature bonus. It's also going during the time of the Grand Illumination. Now, if you are a historian and you've read about the Declaration of Independence and the other celebrations of the days of our founding fathers, they always celebrated with fireworks. Williamsburg, of course, was one of the highlight areas of where all of these things were happening. And the Grand Illumination is just that, holiday fireworks that we will get to enjoy. It's going to be filled with history. For example, the Battle of Yorktown, where George Washington led his troops to victory. And then another example of an included feature bonus is special dining at the King's Tavern in Williamsburg, where the staff will be attired in colonial garb, and one will enjoy an included special feature bonus dinner of colonial food fare. The Best of Europe's Christmas markets is again just that. Europe is, in fact, if you historically look at it, our Christmas tree and traditions of Christmas started in the Bavarian areas and in Germany. This trip includes Christmas markets in Switzerland, Germany, Austria, and a touch of France. And so there's going to be different Christmas markets, and these are just exactly what they say. They're outdoor Christmas markets featuring such things as delectable Lebkuchen, ginger snap type cookie, but they're in huge formats and in various formats, shown in the upper left-hand corner. It's going to have a stop at Oberammergau, which is known for its wood carvers depicted in the lower left-hand corner. The historical traditional villages of Bavaria and Germany and France and that area will be examined as illustrated by upper right-hand corner. And then, of course, we've added a train ride high into the mountains and included a sleigh ride as an included feature bonus on the Christmas markets of Europe. Moving ahead then, we're going into next year, experiencing the brand new Panama Canal. It's going to be in January, February. We say brand new because it is intentionally on a cruise ship that goes through the brand new construction of the Panama Canal that allows for much larger ships to transit. The vast majority of cruise ships still going through the canal use the old transit, which is nothing wrong with it, except it's not nearly as new or as large as the one our group will experience. Here's your itinerary. It's going to start out in Fort Lauderdale. It's going to go through the Caribbean, with stops in South America, through the canal into Costa Rica, Nicaragua, Mexico, and San Francisco. Delightful groups already beginning to reserve on that. And again, that is one of our feature travel experiences. Springtime in the South. We're finding that some people are sort of liking to consider trips closer to home. We've done this particular tour many times. It features South Carolina, Georgia, Florida, and you can see here the cities of Charleston, Savannah, St. Simon's Island, Jekyll Island. Actually, we stay at Jekyll Island at the Jekyll Island Hotel, which is where the federal bank was chartered and created. The barons of New York came down on a holiday and created it. And of course, it includes Jacksonville, Florida. The best of New York City, and I can remember that a couple of our attendees were on a recent trip that was involving Emporia State University to New York City. But of course, it's going to be the city in its grandeur. That's going to be a full and in-depth experience of the Big Apple. It's going to be included feature dining experiences such as Sardi's. We'll be having a hotel very adjacent to or near within a block or two of Times Square. We'll cruise right by the Statue of Liberty for unparalleled photo opportunities. And we will be staying in the heart of downtown Manhattan, not at some far off distance or over in Newark, New Jersey, like some tour groups do. We will be able to literally walk out the front door of our hotel and walk to theaters, walk to Times Square, walk to Sardi's, walk to Carmine's, walk to the other restaurants that we will be enjoying. It's a fantastic experience of our Big Apple. And of course, if it's not safe to do it when the time comes, we won't, but that's still on the books at this time. Tulip Time on the Rhine for next year. It's going to be a river cruise. It's going to be featuring the Netherlands, Germany, France, and Switzerland. In April of next year, it's going to have many, many highlights, one of which will be the Keukenhof Gardens that are just unbelievable. You'll also see a number of fields that are like our wheat fields of Kansas, but they're filled with tulips, and that is a route that goes from Amsterdam down through Germany, ending up in Switzerland, and so you really get to have a fantastic experience on the Rhine River and the small villages that align the Rhine River. And this, of course, is the Michigan trip that I referred to earlier. We had 32 people transfer to this right now. Some of that, well, I think 2 people right now have added themselves to the number that transferred. We have 2 more that are in the process of transferring. And I need to tell you at this point, there are 6 available spaces left on that trip if you know anybody that wants to go. It stays at the famous Grand Hotel on Mackinac Island. Stay there for 2 nights as a bonus. There are other tour companies that say they do Mackinac Island and the Grand Hotel, and that's true, but I can give you an example. We'll not name a name. One tour company takes you to the Grand Hotel, and if you want to walk through it, you pay an additional $10. You stay there, you eat there, you experience there, you take a carriage ride to it and from it, and things of this nature. Starts out in Illinois, goes up to Traverse City, Michigan. That area along Lake Michigan is just beautiful. North of Traverse City, you're getting into the cherry country. We have 2 nights on Mackinac Island. That's 3 days. Then we go down to Frankenmuth, Michigan, which is the Christmas capital of the world, where Bronner's is. And then I'm not a museum person. I don't hesitate to mention that, but I love the Henry Ford Museum at Dearborn and Southfield, actually, is where it is. It's a tremendous experience, and that is the Michigan tour that is presently scheduled for June of next year. Only 6 spaces available at this time. Ireland, we're going over there. It's going to feature as a bonus both North and South Ireland. This is June of next year. And it's going to include the itinerary that you see there that is very extensive. Each one of those black dots has a number in it. The numbers on maps for travel in a black dot like that indicate the number of nights that are there. So you can see that there are strategically interspersed in that itinerary black dots with the number 2 in them, meaning that you're not having to get up every morning, put your suitcase out, pack your suitcase, and be ready to go at the crack of dawn. It's a more slow-paced experience, with an in-depth experience and many experiences that really truly reflect the Irish culture, the food, the ambiance, if you will, of those two Northern Ireland and Southern Ireland destinations. Trains and lakes of the Alps, Switzerland and Italy. We have people reserved on this. It's July of next year, and it's just exactly what the title says. It's the trains and the lakes of the Alps. And Lucerne, upper left-hand corner, train ride you see there. It's also going to touch southern Italy, Lake Lugano, where a number of movie stars have their homes, and of course, alpine views that you see in the lower right-hand corner. Alaska, and Paul, I'm going to stop talking here for a minute. I'm going to let you talk about Alaska, both from the standpoint of As You Like It and feature, because I know there's a point to be made on feature travel, but there's also a point to be made with As You Like It travel and what's happening with Alaska for next year.
Okay. One of the important things that we've found so far this year is that everybody, almost everybody, other than a few things that, there's always a wedding next year or a graduation or something that's going on. But for the most part, I would say 95% of the people that we had booked on Alaska this summer, both our feature tour as well as our As You Like It, we had some smaller groups there, have rebooked, and many of them, there were some who were getting new grandchildren who couldn't go this year, and they've actually booked for next year, so the groups have had a tendency to enlarge. And why that is important to mention that to everyone today is because we're finding that cabins are getting pretty well booked up. A lot of people think they want on one certain side of the boat as compared to the other, or they're traveling with another couple or a couple of couples, and it's getting a lot more difficult to be able to get people that are booked next to their friends, as opposed to, having to be several cabins apart. So our feature tour for next year that we rescheduled from this year is going to be July the 24th to August the 4th. We're doing the land and the cruise. You see the circles here, and what we're showing is that you're actually doing what some companies have you do in 3 different tours. So the first circle, it will start in Fairbanks, and you'll be touring the interior of Alaska. Following the 4 nights on land there, you'll be taken down to Whittier, which you'll see in the second circle, and board the ship and sail through College Fjords, Glacier Bay, the icy straight points through there, which is a tour that some companies do with just that part. But then you continue on down to the Inside Passage, which would be the number 3 circle. And during that time, you're going to be going to Skagway, Juneau, on down to Ketchikan via some scenic cruising in Tracy Arm Fjord, and then on down to Vancouver, where you'll return home. I might just mention, because of beginning in Fairbanks, which is in the U.S., ending the tour in Vancouver, which is Canada, a passport booklet is required for this itinerary.
Okay, so then also we're going to be doing Greenland and Iceland, plus Scotland and England next year. It's going to be a cruise experience, and these are all available, obviously, to the Hornet Nation, and that's why we're talking them. And in addition to the all-inclusive pricing aspect of all the feature tours, you're going to have the opportunity to enjoy a special university savings or a special Corky savings, if you please, on everything we're talking about here today. It's going to include London, but it's going to include ports at both Iceland and Greenland, and it's also going to be doing some other areas on the continent itself. It's a very extensive tour, a very easy way to experience those destinations, which some people who've been there, and we've had a number of groups say, for example, to Iceland, that say it's one of the best opportunities of travel experiences they've ever had. Niagara Falls plus East Canada, we had a lot of people request that we return to Niagara Falls. This is not a tour that would include New York City. This is East Canada and does Ottawa, Toronto, Buffalo, New York, and of course that's where the falls in that area are. Niagara Falls just west of Buffalo, and it includes that part of it, and you see both sides of the falls. And that opening picture where that the falls were showing is actually a boat ride on the Maid of the Mist that goes up into the throat of Niagara Falls, and that will be a feature that will be enjoyed on this tour. New England and Canada Fall Cruise, always a favorite. It's going to include an extension in New York City in the beginning so that a person can have a touch of New York City, some of the dining experiences, and then sail north to New England and Canada ports of call during the fall of the year, September 23 through October 2, and it's always a highlight feature. And again, cruising seems to be attracting a lot of people. The people who cruise, for the most part, are very respectful of the cruise lines and tend to be rebooking. And one might not think this to be true because of the challenges that some of the cruise lines have had because of COVID-19, but it's a reality. If it changes, we would never put you into a position of danger. Princess Cruises would never knowingly put you in a position of danger, but that's what that is. Best of Portugal and Spain. We had that planned for this year. We have rescheduled it for September of next year. Excuse me, and we are awaiting final contracts, but it's scheduled for September. Spain and Portugal are very important points. Truthfully, Spain is having problems right now, a major proportion with COVID-19. If that doesn't clear up, we won't go. It's just that simple. But right now, COVID will stop and it will change, and the positive attitudes of people will have people going to these areas again. So we're putting ourselves in position, because a reality of good business travel planning is that one must secure contracts. That's us, secure contracts 18 to 24 months in advance of when the tour is going to operate. Otherwise, you have what you would call wine dregs of what's left over as availability as to accommodations, flight schedules, and things of this nature. This will be a wonderful experience. Our annual Leaves, Lighthouses, and Lobsters will go again in October of next year. And that, this will, I think, be our 22nd year next year. I can't remember. We're not going this year, obviously. First time we've ever missed it since we started it. But it will be in October of 2021, or 2021. And you can see here from the red dots, or red circles, I should say, that actually 2/3 of the coastline of Maine is covered on this trip. And the coastline of Maine is just unbelievable. It'll get into Canada at Campobello Island and Campobello, which is where FDR, Franklin and Eleanor had their summer cottage, and by and large, we're most often able to get into the cottage, and that is an experience that will sell out early and is always a very popular experience. We've had some people take it 4 different times. The features are here, but the name Leaves, Lighthouses, and Lobsters are depicted with those pictures starting in the upper left-hand corner. That red field is actually a field of wild Maine blueberries, the foliage of which has turned crimson with the fall of the year. So obviously the trees are going to be covered with color, but fields that meander forever will also have color. There's your leaves. Lighthouses. We go to a number of lighthouses. That's lighthouses in the upper right-hand corner is West Quoddy Lighthouse. When you stand at that site, you are actually standing at the easternmost point of North America. So that's the lighthouses aspect of it. The Lobsters is depicted in the lower right-hand corner. That's our personal friend, Captain John Nicolai. He's no longer captaining a boat. We are still using his boat, but it's under new captainship. But we go out, we actually have a 2-hour seminar at sea, and we see lobsters. And of course, lobsters are everywhere, and we thoroughly enjoy eating them in many different ways. So there's Lee's, lighthouses, and lobsters. But we have, as features on this tour, the fourth L. So in addition to Lee's, lighthouses, and lobsters, we have locals, local individuals. This is our friend Dick Fisher, who has a cottage industry out in the middle of nowhere. You wouldn't know how to get there if you didn't know it was there. But if you go on to the internet and look under the best gift shops and look for brass bells, you will find the name of U.S. Bells. And his foundry is actually in a garage on his property where they cast the finest bronze bells that we've ever seen. But he's a local, and he is, and his wife and his family are there. You see how they live, how they work, and they're completely different. It's a commercial operation, obviously, but completely different. We also will stop at the cranberry barrens, or fields rather, bogs, I should say, and the blueberry barrens of another personal friend, a local, who is 8 times past president of the Maine Farm Bureau, Bob Hammond. And he will show us what a cranberry bog is, how they harvest it, and things like that. So the locals, and there are many others, but those are a very important aspect of Lee's, lighthouses, and lobsters, and then parenthetically, locals. So Paula, let's turn this back to you, and we'll begin to wrap up.
Okay. A fact. Knowledgeable travelers reserve from 12 to 18 months before their travels when going away with Please Go Away vacations. Why? I guess my question would be, why not? Your money is protected on all of our feature travel programs. There's a 100% refund guarantee date that you can cancel up till that date, or I should say on almost all of them. There are a few with river cruising that their terms are a little stricter, but you can cancel for any reason when that is in place, get back your money, no questions asked. We mentioned earlier that one of the bonuses in the feature tour programs is travel protection. So once we get past that 100% date, you're protected for covered reasons with that travel protection. It is important in today's world with a lot less flights and many people cruising. The good selection of cabins go first. So it's always good to plan your travels well in advance. I would like to just invite you very quickly to, if you're on Facebook, because you do need to be on Facebook, to join our travel bulletin board of travel. What we have put together is an exclusive private group within our Facebook page. And we sat around one morning and did some brainstorming. All of us have tours that are scheduled that have been canceled. So we're just as disappointed as everyone else when we're looking forward to something and it's canceled for one reason or another. So we were kind of trying to get some ideas, and we came up with a virtual Dream Now, Travel Later. So on Wednesdays, we put out at 11 o'clock. We've started our around the world journey, and we went to Yellowstone. We went to Arches National Park. We went to San Francisco. Today we were in the Canadian Rockies, and next Wednesday, I believe we're going to be in Alaska. It's a short virtual tour of what you would experience if you went there. And it's been a lot of fun. We've got a lot of comments and things, and it's going to be as fun as you make it. And what I mean by that is please, please join us and then share your experiences or anything that if you've been there and you've got pictures, share that with everyone else and comment, because that makes it a lot more fun. So we've been putting this logo on many of the things we've sent out. If you have not joined, and I can see the list of names, not all of you have, give us a call or check out a recent email. And if you need help as to how to request membership, let us know, because we'll be more than happy to provide that information to you.
And Paula, I don't mean to interrupt, but may I make a point about that? You said it's an exclusive group, which means it's private, and only members who ask to join can be a member of it, so that it's not a traditional Facebook approach where you're seeing who has a headache and all that kind of stuff. It's not that. That's never seen. It's strictly a very positive thing, and by invitation only, really. And it's proving to be very, very popular. And I say that because I, for one, don't understand Facebook in general, but I
Tell them the truth, Larry. You don't like Facebook.
Well, there you go. That's the truth. I don't, but I like this because the team came up with this concept, which is wonderful. So I'm sorry, I didn't mean to step on your heels, Paula, but I want to clarify that because it is an exceptional way to dream now and travel later.
And I appreciate that. That's good, because there are a lot of personal things on a normal Facebook page, and we haven't had that on our group because people are more interested in the travel aspect. So wonderful. If you have questions, and it looks like several of you have sent questions already, so we'll go through those. But if you have questions, you'll use the chat feature to send those to us. So ask us anything that you'd like, and we'll just scroll down here and try to answer these. So the first one is kind of a big question. When do you think it will be safe to travel again? So Larry, do you want to answer that one?
I will. I guess I won't answer it. I will express an opinion. We don't have the slightest idea, truthfully. The thing that you should do is not travel if there's any reason to be concerned. Now, that's not the same as being afraid, but now's not the time to travel. The situation and the challenges and the potential for communication with somebody that is infected is not good, and we're not ever saying that should be. I will say this, that we monitor it daily. We are in daily contact with the travel leaders of the nation. We know their plans. We know what they're thinking, that they're seeing from all of their resources, and we will keep you advised. If it's not safe to travel, we will tell you that. And when it begins to be safe to travel, we will tell you that. But honestly, anyone that gives you a date doesn't know what the heck they're talking about.
Okay, the next one is, we've heard that the Department of Transportation is forcing airlines to refund tickets. Is that true? And if so, can you help us? So I guess the first question is going to be why you're needing a refund. We've heard this question a time or two. The Department of Transportation has come out and are trying to force airlines to refund airline tickets on flights that the airline canceled. There is a difference between you canceling an airline ticket because you didn't feel it was safe to go, or perhaps you were doing a cruise or you were doing a tour or vacation or whatever, and that was canceled, so you had no choice but to cancel your airline tickets. If you changed your mind, they are not doing refunds. If the airline canceled your flight, then that's where the force to refund the tickets is coming in. Then the next thing is, can we help you? If we booked your airline tickets, we're more than happy to help you. And I guess the fact that this question is being asked kind of leads me to that we didn't. And I say that because we have been in contact with all of the clients that we had booked, not only on feature tours, but the large number on As You Like It programs. So I really think that we're on top of everything, canceled airline tickets and such as that. So what you would need to do is go back to where you purchased your tickets. There are some dates. If your ticket was bought before this date, you've got these rules. If it was bought after this date, but before this one, you've got these rules. So there's a lot of different rules that obviously if we didn't book your tickets, number one, we don't know when it was purchased or the class of service, if it's a refundable ticket, non-refundable ticket, so that we're not able to help you. Number two is, quite honestly, if we call the airline, they're going to ask a question about that ticket, and every ticketing agent has an identifying number. They're going to ask our number, which would not match the number on that ticket. Therefore, they would not even speak to us about it. So the answer is, unfortunately, we would not be able to help you with that. Let's see. We're interested in going to Alaska in 21. Are there still spaces? And should we book now or wait and see what happens? And so I guess my first thought is, first of all, if you're wanting to go with a group, if you're wanting to go on your own, I would get that done. There are still spaces, although maybe selections are not quite as plentiful, depending at the time of year or what you're looking to do, whether you're looking to do a land and cruise, just a cruise. That makes a little bit of difference, but the cruise lines, and again, depending on the cruise line, you really need to work with a knowledgeable travel advisor, because nowadays a lot of the cruise lines have come out with some non-refundable fares, and you might save $50 a person or a little bit, but when the time comes, if things, which we're all optimistic that by this time next year things will be back pretty much to a normal situation. But in the event they're not, and you decide not to go on that cruise and you cancel, you want to be sure that you're not sitting there with a non-refundable deposit, that you do not get that money back, especially at this time when everything is so uncertain. You do need to use a knowledgeable travel advisor that can advise you as to what would happen either way, and then let you make that decision. Okay, the next question I think was probably brought about by some of the comments we've made. How much would we pay to have a travel agent such as your company assist us in booking travel? So depending on what kind of travel you're referring to, the only thing that we actually charge or have a fee to do is if we just do an airline ticket. We do have a fee of $40 a ticket. Airlines many, many years ago had stopped paying travel advisors commission to sell their airlines. So that's pretty standard through the industry. Anything else that we do, whether it's cruises, booking any of the many companies that we referred to previously, they pay us a commission to sell their product. If you call them direct and you booked let's say a Colette tour, you're going to pay exactly the same thing to them that you would pay to us. But if we do it, they pay us to sell their program. But for those of you, which I think all of you would qualify, in addition to paying the exact same thing, if there's early bookings, repeat passengers, any AARP, hometown pickups, any of those kinds of things, we can get for you, but we're also going to give you that Emporia discount, with a like amount then being donated back to the alumni with your name attached to a like amount. So that's win-win for everybody. So I don't have any others. I'm at the bottom of my screen. Larry, did any come back to yours, or perhaps Tyler, are you hearing questions when you're out and about that you would maybe like to ask for everyone to hear the answers?
Well, I think that the questions that I'm hearing mostly is the same ones. What does your crystal ball say for when we can travel? And I think Larry answered that very well. I like the part that if they're telling you an exact date, they don't know, and that's probably clue number one to go away. Stay away from that person. But those are the exact same questions we're hearing: is when is it going to be okay? Um, I think there's always questions about cost and that kind of stuff. And, ultimately, the crew at Please Go Away Vacation Cheyenne Travel Agency, they're going to give you a quote for what you want to do. And that's going to be the price right there. So it's not like an extra on top of, it's going to be there. Everything's been very transparent in our experience with Please Go Away. Here's the cost, here's what's included, here's anything that you might need other monies for, but here's exactly what is included in this package. And to always, go line by line to show a lot of times what's included in the packages that Please Go Away puts together is pretty inclusive. So, it's kind of hard to go out there and see a comparable. Because a lot of times the packages that Please Go Away puts together has a lot of things that they add in that you don't have to worry about it when you get there and get nickeled and dimed for extra excursions. They're already included in the trip. So anyway, I hear some of that, but I think the questions that were asked are obviously the ones that are top of mind and really shared across a broad group of people. When's it going to be safe? When it is, and then when it is safe, let's make sure that everybody is taking advantage of those opportunities. So, if indeed somebody booked today, Paula, and at some point down the road there was a considerable discount offered, I think I know the answer to this. That's why I'm asking it. But how do you guys handle those things when there are discounts that come about later? And in light of today's situation, we might see some of that. So,
And that's true, and that's a good question. The way that we handle it is we go back to the companies that we work with and negotiate, and most of them are really good about, okay, here this is, and we can pass this along, or sometimes they can't. But I mean, if we can get it, you can rest assured that we are going to pass it along. Cruise lines are a little bit better about passing along discounts, and probably even, I don't know if you say they're better or worse about coming out with, something better down the road. But that's why you'll notice that our groups that we do on cruises are basically with Princess. Now, that's not to say that's the only cruise line we work with, because we absolutely work with Royal Caribbean, Carnival, Oceania, all of them. But Princess is the one that, if a better price or better amenities comes along, they allow us to pass that along like 99% of the time. And so that's why we choose to work with Princess for our groups, is we want you to sign up to get the best available cabins and the dining of your choice and things of that nature. But we don't feel that you should be penalized by a better price 6 months from now, or, down the road shortly before you go. And so that's kind of a question, that we sometimes get asked too as well. Why do you choose to work with the companies? Why are you not doing this company? Well, one of the things that we look at is the way that they work with our clients and the way they handle things of that nature when they come along, or even, cancellations. As far as with the COVID-19 that's going on, we have the majority of the companies that we work with, we're assigned a sales rep, and the quality ones we're hearing from on a weekly basis as to what's going on. And actually some of them that we have, exceptionally good relationships with are even saying, hold tight because I think in another week you're going to, hear this or hear that. So we trust them, and they are in constant contact with the CDC and the WHO and all these different organizations, State Department, and as far as when's it going to be safe to travel, when the government says it is. Right now, there is a worldwide travel alert at a level 4 that says you really shouldn't go anywhere, and that's exactly where we all are, and we trust them, so that's what we live with. Larry, any follow-up comments from you?
No, other than to say thank you to our attendees. We appreciate the opportunity to share our observations and opinions. We are here to answer any questions that you have at any time. And we would also like to say that we truly do appreciate our relationship with Tyler and with Emporia State University. Has been purely positive, and they have a fantastic array of benefits for travelers that I think everyone should at least look at and then make an independent decision. But we do appreciate Emporia State University and Tyler.
And I second that motion. So
and
if
I'd
you have
also
any,
like to say Lori,
go ahead. I'm sorry.
We also appreciate Lori very much too.
Appreciate
Yes.
Lori. There you go.
We'll tell her you said that. So thank you all. And any questions that come up that I don't see any that we didn't answer, but if you get some other thoughts and have questions, please contact us anytime at corky@travelpleasegoaway.com, or you can always call us Monday through Friday from 9 to 5 at 1-800-362-9347, and we will travel again. Thank you.
Thank you all. Bye for now.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.